When building out a job schedule in JobTread, you're going to navigate from your job dashboard up into your schedule tab. We immediately arrive here in our Gantt view, but you have the ability to switch your view by clicking on our view dropdown and also selecting from our list view, our month view, our week view, or our day view. The week and day view are going to be really helpful for any of you who are looking to schedule your projects out down to the hour. Now, before we begin adding tasks and task groups into our schedule, it's going to be important for you to consider how you'd like to go about building your schedule. Do you want to build it out by phases, or do you want to build it out by trades? For this training, we're actually going to go ahead and build it out by phases. So we're going to go down to the bottom left-hand corner of our schedule, and we're going to go to plus group, and we're going to add our first pre-construction task group. When I hit enter, it's going to give me the ability to add individual tasks here into this task group. So we'll do that now. We're going to start off with our design and planning, and then we're going to go to sample approvals, and then we're going to do bids and contracts. And then we're going to make sure that we go to contract execution. And at the end of that, we're going to collect our deposits. And lastly, we are going to obtain our permits. Okay. All right, so now we've got this first task group. We're going to go ahead to the upper right-hand corner and we're going to click Save. Then we can edit any of the details for any of these individual tasks by clicking directly onto the task and having our Update Task Drawer slide over. Now we can add a description. We can adjust the task type. So we'll change this one to a design task type. We can select our start date. So let's go down here and select next Monday. We can adjust the end date by clicking directly on there and adding our end date, or we can click directly into this days field and give it a number of days for this specific task. So we'll give it 12 days, and then we can add assignees directly onto this task. So we'll add me, and then we'll go ahead and let's add Jordan. And what you notice about both of these assignees, me and Jordan, is that I have a red calendar listed next to me in that icon. That means that I have other tasks that conflict with that specific task. And when I click on that icon, I can see the other tasks. So if you have other office tasks or other tasks that you can do within the office, maybe they can still be assigned to that task. But if I have that red icon, it might be a good sign that someone else might need to take over that task who is at a green task status. Okay, which means they're good to go. If you see that yellow icon, that means that there's a task before or after, so it might be worth looking into whether or not that person could make that task based on what type of task they were, or maybe where the locations for each of those tasks were. So we're going to unassign me, and we'll leave Jordan. And then we can come down and we can add checklist items. Think about these as like bones for the task itself. So these bones make up that task. So as we complete these checklist items, those tasks are also completed. So we'll do schedule, design, meetings. We're going to confirm with our client. We're going to text them upon leaving to make sure that they know that we're actually making it, but also to remind them that they have a meeting scheduled as well. And then we're going to upload any files to JobTread for the meeting. All right. And as we scroll down, we can also upload any files that we need to associate with this specific task, or we can have an entire conversation with anybody that has been assigned to this specific task. Now we're going to come again to that upper right-hand corner, click Save, and we're going to close this out. And now you can see that we have that task sitting on our schedule. An easier way to do this, as you can see with sample approvals, is to just click directly on this schedule, and I can then click and drag the correct number of days for that task directly on my schedule. So let's go ahead and do that for the rest of our schedule. So for sample approvals, we're going to give ourselves, let's say, about 10 days. And then for bids and contracts, let's give ourselves a week. And then for contract execution, we'll give ourselves about 4 days. But then on that last day, we want to make sure by the end of that we've collected our deposit. And then we all know it can take a long time for us to obtain our permit. So we'll give ourselves roughly 3 weeks. All right. And then we're going to click Save. And then I'm going to adjust this task type for sample approvals because it is also a design task type. So we're going to go ahead and give it a design task type, and we'll save and close that. But if we wanted to do that for several different tasks, rather than clicking directly on the task, we can do that by clicking in the numbers directly to the left of each one of these tasks, highlight as many as we'd like to select and change, and we can create a mass action change for all of these tasks. So we'll go over here and we're actually going to go down and we're going to set the type to office work. Okay. And then we're going to click this blue button to apply that action to these tasks. And now you can see as we save and then close that we've gotten all those tasks properly assigned. Okay. Now, as we're looking at our schedule, one thing that will be really important for us is to think about what tasks need to shift other tasks if the dates change for those tasks. For instance, we know that we don't want design and planning to overlap with sample approvals because we want design and planning to inform those sample approvals. So we will create what we call a dependency. So if we click directly on design and planning, we can come down to the bottom of this window and we can select the after dependent of design and planning of sample approval, and we will click on sample approval, and you can now see that gray arrow between design and planning and sample approval. That is called a dependency. So when we save it and we close it and we move design and planning, sample approvals will move with it. Now, we have other types of dependencies that are really helpful. So down here where we see collect deposits and contract execution, let's go ahead and we can actually add a dependency to the start of contract execution if we'd like to do that. And now, as we move this, you can see that it is tied to the beginning of that task. But what you notice is that it didn't move whenever I moved contract execution. But if we wanted to preserve the space between the beginning of contract execution and what day in this specific task that we collect our deposits, we're going to click into any one of these tasks and we can come down to that dependency, and you see this lock icon. We can preserve the lag time. That will preserve the amount of space between where that dependency starts and that next task or that previous task. Okay, so we're going to save and close, and I'm going to show you that now when I move contract execution, that collect deposit always sits on that last day. And it also gives you this blue dependency arrow, which is called a locked dependency. Okay, now you have the ability to create all of your dependencies as locked dependencies by coming right above your schedule into this icon where it says lock new dependencies and clicking that. Now every dependency that you create from that point forward will give you that blue locked dependencies, which will preserve the lag time between those dependencies. So we can click directly out to the right or left of our tasks and we can drag our dependencies, and you'll see that we now have those blue preserve lag time locked dependencies. Okay, now we're going to click save. Now that we've built out our schedule, if you love the look of this schedule and you'd love to see this schedule on a job in the future as well, not just this job, you have the ability to export this back to your catalog by clicking on the export button and sending this template back as a schedule template to your catalog for use on future jobs. So in those future jobs, you'd come down in the bottom left-hand corner into our template library, click on that icon, and all of your schedule templates will show up here in the middle, and all of our pre-made templates will be here on the left-hand side for you to access for any of your future jobs. If you have any other questions about building schedules, make sure that you contact your customer success manager or email us for support at JobTread.com.